People, Deluded, I'm back again. I know you lot have been missing my videos and I've been acting a bit off because, you know, a day without Deluded content is probably one that confuses people. In my comments, genuinely there are people like, why is there no Deluded vids and this and that? And I love it, but yeah, man, I wanted to take a break yesterday, really and truly, just for my mental well-being. I've said 2020 is the year to really look after myself a bit more when I'm feeling tired in everything. Just accept it, where, you know, just emotional intelligence, I guess I'm getting that. But on Monday, Arsenal play Leeds United in the FA Cup. Now, it's been a decent FA Cup of sorts. I'm seeing United after 90 minutes in their game didn't have a shot on target. Tranmere, obviously, valiant effort. Man City, young players scoring. That young lad from Norwich bagging a hat-trick. I'm sure that Sheffield United done. Some young player made his debut as well. You know, it's the magic of the FA Cup, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't sitting there and watching the FA Cup as much as I would watch Premier League games, because I love the FA Cup, but I only really love when Arsenal is playing in anything. But our time is coming on Monday against Leeds United. Now, Arsenal versus Leeds is still a big game for me. Remember when Leeds was in the Premier League? Ironically, I believe they're first in the table, and there's very much every chance that Bielsa's men get promoted to the Premier League. And for me, I would like to see Leeds back in the Prem. Obviously, I only care about Arsenal, but I think Leeds is a big club, big fan base. Obviously, Leeds versus United, those of you that are older than me can remember that sort of thing. I think their rightful place is the Premier League, and I feel Bielsa is a very good manager. Bit onto him about not giving Eddie some game time, but I'm pretty sure Eddie learnt a lot under him, and he's a quality manager. You hear how Pochettino and many people speak of Bielsa, just beyond the obvious people. They've obviously got Calvin Phillips, and who's that Polish lad? They've got a couple players making the difference for them. Obviously, Bamford might not be in the greatest of form. I don't have his stats to hand, but I describe him as an old school sort of striker. Not that he's street smart and physical, but he works the line, he'll use his body well and things like that. I swear they got Pablo Hernandez, I could be wrong, but either way, they've got some options that can hurt us within that side, man. And they play good football. I think I'm really impressed with Calvin Phillips the most when I see Leeds, and obviously I think they're going to get promoted to the Premier League, so it's not a thing. But if they don't, he's probably someone that will be plying his trade away from Leeds United if they don't get promoted. I'm sure they've obviously got former Arsenal player Luke Ayling, I can never say his name. Really happy how he's gone and built his career. I think he was at Bristol City and a couple other clubs as well as Leeds. I remember him in the same, more or less the same FA Youth Cup side as Jack Wilshere in that, and he's gone on to have a good career in the game. So obviously on Monday, like I said, we play Leeds. They've even got Ben White on loan from Brighton, and he's going to be a decent centre back. I think his name, the Polish that I was getting at, is Klic. I can't ever say his name, people. Well, it is what it is. For me, I want to win the FA Cup. Like, I always want to win the FA Cup because, I mean, it gives me great memories. I mean, the past decade, what really did I see my team do? The decade before that be 2000 to 2010, right? People, my massive sport. Obviously, I saw my team win the league. I know we didn't win the Champions League final, but that's one of my favourite memories, that route to the final, to be fair. Similar to, as much as we get onto Spurs, but it was a good run. Ours was different. Ours was harder, because you look at the teams we had to play at that time. I swear we didn't concede too many goals. We went Real Madrid with some crazy backline, Flamini and Eboué, and did a job. But they're my good memories. But of more recent years, we've won 3 FA Cups. I'm sure Arteta's claimed 2 as an Arsenal manager, as an Arsenal player, sorry, and he wants to win. What better fitting than to return as a manager in your debut season and win the FA Cup? It would obviously be his first trophy in his whole career as a manager, and I'm sure he wants to. I'm sure he's got other goals beyond trophies and stuff. He wants to have a legacy, but players, managers, coaches, we all like to win. They're all in the business of winning, and once you get that first trophy out of the way as Arsenal manager and in his career as a manager, it kind of clouds a lot of doubt. It can give the players a new hunger for more as well, obviously, because you see how Arteta's got them all on side. And obviously Arsenal, we've won the FA Cup the most times, give or take, with Manchester United, so it's always, there's enough reasons to go and do as well as we potentially can do in this competition. My point before I started waffling is, obviously in the previous decade I've seen my team win it 3 times. I've been at 2 of them. Sadly, I couldn't get tickets for the Chelsea game. Was in the pub though, local to Wembley. But the 2 before that, obviously the first one, Santi Cazorla, you know, clutch moments. First FA Cup trophy in years. The second one, handling business, was more of a, describing at Wembley, was more of a funfair day out. Cause we knew it was going to be Aston Villa, to be fair with you. But FA Cup's been our only source of joy. And for me, this season, listen, the priorities, or what would be make this a bigger season, trophies always trophies, but I'd rather us, which I don't believe we can, beyond Arteta and the boys doing a miracle, Champions League football via qualification in the top 4, or obviously winning the Europa League. But I love the FA Cup, people, and if you're an Arsenal fan or even United fan, it's irrelevant, but you should love the FA Cup as well. And I mean, as a football fan, you should love it. There's always upsets. It sounds cliche, but the magic of the FA Cup, in my opinion, is a real thing. And I know Arteta's going to take this seriously because he's won it. And especially for the young players, it would be nice to get to the final or get to the latter stages for them, because again, gives them hunger. If we win it, it gives them their first taste of silverware and hunger for it more. I'm not saying David Luiz isn't, but just to highlight a kind of example, David Luiz has won Champions League and things. Is he necessarily going to care about the FA Cup? He's a model professional, and the FA Cup is the oldest competition in football, I believe, club football, and it's big enough in his own right. But and I'm not questioning his hunger, but potentially it might be less deep to the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson, who, forgive me if I'm wrong, haven't won anything significantly in the professional game yet. So there's enough reasons, man, for Arteta, for the boys, for the club, for some sort of success, and we're in it, and we owe it to ourselves to have a good performance, and we can't take Leeds lightly. Leeds, FA Cup's famous for giant killings. Not that we're necessarily a giant anymore, but we've got a lot more to lose than Leeds. Is the FA Cup our grand scheme of goals for either team? I very much doubt so, but there's more question marks if we lose and more headlines if Leeds win. Do you get it? The most we can do, professional performance, go out there and win the game. Obviously, our team is impacted by a couple of injuries as well, people, which complicates matters even more. I'm actually not sure if he'll go with Martinez in goal or actually go with Leno, because obviously Martinez is the cup competition keeper, Carling Cup, Europa League, it was his thing. But I can't lie, I'll go with Leno, man, because I want to take Leeds seriously. Like, I know we've got Crystal Palace, I believe, at the weekend away. 2 games in a week, but I think our boys can handle it really and truly. I'd name the strongest team possible. Obviously, some rotation, but I just want us to go out there, because listen, I don't want to underestimate Leeds. I want to go out there with the strongest possible team, people. I won't lie to you. So in relation to my lineup, Leno gets the nod in goal for me. Saka and Maitland-Niles at right back. In fact, Maitland-Niles has been playing well, but I think if Bellerin's fit, this is a good opportunity to get him some minutes and try and get some rust out of his play. So while I want to name, pardon me, the strongest lineup, and I do feel Maitland-Niles is less of a natural right back than Bellerin. Obviously, the way we've been playing our last 2 games, I don't really want to disrupt too much of it, but I believe Bellerin should be okay to get through this, so I'm going to go with Bellerin. Kolasinac, obviously, he put his body on the line for us in the game against United. He weren't fully fit. Hopefully, he's fully fit now, because Saka potentially needs a rest at in that role. We obviously need to give minutes to Kolasinac going forward, because we're going to need him in top condition, sadly, for at least a couple of months, because Tierney is a long way away from fitness because of the shoulder problem. So I'll go with Kolasinac and Bellerin at centre-half. At full-back. Centre-half, if Rob Holding's fit, I'm going to go Rob Holding and Socrates, purely because David Luiz deserves his spot. But I'm trying to save a bit of legs now. I want to name the strongest lineup, but I'm trying to save a lot of legs. David Luiz has had 2 good games on the spin, 2 good games against top 6 oppositions. For me, was quality against Chelsea, was untouchable against United. That's just a slight difference. Untouchable. Everything he did against United was amazing. Against Chelsea, it was the same logic, but in the second half, we kind of fell off as a team. So maybe, give him some leg room. If Holding is fit, which he is because he was on the bench, I think it's a time to give him some game time. And with Callum Chambers' injury, show Arteta that, listen, I know you want to sign another centre-half in January or the summer, but same way Chambers did his thing, I can show Wagwan what I'm on, and remember why they call me better than Cannavaro. You don't know I'm a big Rob Holding fan, so on a shameless thing, I'm going to scream he's better than Cannavaro, of course. So I'm going to go with Holding and Socrates at centre-half. Socrates, he had a concussion. He missed out the Chelsea game. I think he's good to go. I think he's got 2 games in a week, provided no injuries in him. Assuming we do have actually do have Crystal Palace this Saturday or Sunday, I could be wrong. But that would be my centre-halves in Rob Holding and Socrates. Midfield now is where it gets a bit political. Cause I feel one person that should not come out of that team is actually Lucas Torreira. So I'd go Lucas Torreira. It's difficult because you've got Emil Smith Rowe, you've got Ceballos potentially to give some minutes to. You've got Guendouzi to come into the side, although I don't feel Guendouzi, even when he came off the bench in the last game, I don't feel he's been playing well, so I don't necessarily would give him minutes in this game. But he deserves it. There's Joe as well. But I just don't want to take Leeds unserious, and I really want to name a close to strongest team. Midfield is a difficult one, people. But like I said, Leno, Socrates, Holding, Socrates, Kolasinac, Bellerin, Leno behind them in case I confused you lot. I'm going to go with a 4-3-3. I think Ozil should play as well, but I'm going to go with the midfield pairing. I'm going to go Lucas Torreira. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go Lucas Torreira, people, because I don't think we should move him out the side, and I'm expecting a passionate performance from Leeds. Do you know what? Guendouzi. It could be Joe and Guendouzi, to be fair with you, but I want to respect the fact that they're first in the Championship. They've got an experienced side, and it's the FA Cup. So do you know what? I'm going to go with Torreira. I'm going to go with Torreira and Ceballos in the pivot, people. And I feel so sorry about Joe and Emil Smith Rowe, man. They deserve to play, but I'm gonna go Lucas Torreira, people. Do you know what? Lucas Torreira, Joe Willock, Ceballos in the 10 position. In fact, swap them around. I'd rather Ceballos in the 8 in the pivot. So I'm gonna go Torreira and Ceballos. Joe will do that. I don't think Joe's necessarily a competent 10. He presses well, but I think it's a bit of a shoehorn thing. But if we can, you know, if he can play there for me, join in the attack and whatnot and do what you can. So I go with them three in midfield. Up front, well, the front three better yet. If Martinelli's fit, Martinelli starts for me. I'm going to go Martinelli. I'm going to go Nicola Pepe, because I think, you know what, just play him, you know, give him a 45, 60 minutes. Let's keep the confidence up. And I'm going to go with, obviously, Aubameyang up front. So to recap the team, obviously we've got Leno in goal. Fullbacks are going to be Hector Bellerin and Sead Kolasinac. Saka and Maitland-Niles obviously on standby. Midfield, you could see how much twisting and turning I was doing. I'm going to go with Lucas Torreira. I'm going to go with Ceballos next to him. Unusual partnership. I'm going to go with Joe in that 10 role. In fact, I am changing it in my mind. But the most, I want Joe to kind of make it a midfield 3, to be honest. But Joe in that 10 role. On the right, we're going with Pepe. Feel guilty for missing out Nelson. Martinelli, I'm dying to see our young Brazilian again. So Martinelli on the left, back from his injury. Let's see if he can get some fitness in his game again. And obviously I'll go with Aubameyang through the middle. I say that because Eddie Nketiah, I don't know if we're going to play him, and then I don't think he can play for 3 teams in a calendar season sort of thing, because he would have technically played for Leeds, and if he plays for us, that prevents him going out on loan. I know Arteta said he's going to have a conversation with him whether what he wants to do for the next couple of months to the end of the season, but there's that. There's Eddie up front. Praying Tyrese John-Jules could actually make his debut, to be fair with you. I know I've gone with an experienced striker, but I'm dying for Tyrese John-Jules to make his debut. He was a bad boy in the last game for Arsenal under 23s level. Potentially hoping that more so next season, end of this year, our young Sam Greenwood can play as well, because he helped under 23s rescue a point. Then 24 hours he's scoring a lovely free kick against Chelsea. But I'm dying for Tyrese John-Jules to make his debut, man. Him and Balogun, between him, Balogun and Eddie, if 2 of the 3 can't progress, I'm not saying everyone needs to become star strikers, but if 2 of them, if one can't become a top striker and one can't become a competent option within the side, we're doing something wrong. Because Tyrese John-Jules scores a lot of goals, but he's very much like Lacazette, and he can play deeper. He's got a lot of creative play to him. He's strong as well. Balogun's a goal machine, as is Eddie. So it's a tough one, really and truly. But I'd love to see him and a couple of kids make their debuts, man. Finally, statistically, this will be the 17th FA Cup meeting between Arsenal and Leeds, and the first since January 2012, when Arsenal won 1-0 in their third round tie, thanks to a goal from Thierry Henry. And if you couldn't make it up, people, I'm not going to lie, I rarely cry, but on a real, like, come on, man, it was a real icy free tear when you saw Henry score. You're like, boy, like, this is the stuff you see in Disney Channel, man. This is Henry. Like, it was a different. I'm sure I was actually at that game as well, if I can remember correctly as well. No, I was at that game. It was a different sort of raw. like different sort of roar from the Emirates crowd when he celebrated. Like you could write it in the script, but you couldn't make it up. And then when I went home and I saw, what was it? I heard the comment. I watched the goal. Obviously, I can't watch it live again, but I'm watching the goals with the commentary on, and they said a great phrase like cast in bronze, but still capable of gold moments, or something, golden moments, or something like that with Henry. It was crazy, people. Leeds have lost 5 of their last 6 games against Arsenal, drawing 1 and losing 5 since a 3-2 victory at Highbury in the Premier League in 2003. These things always have to come to an end. And if I'm Leeds, I'm adopting a bit of a fearless approach in that people probably expect you to give Arsenal a game, but no one expects you to win. So take the mental handbrake off if there is one, and try things you wouldn't try. Be aggressive in possession. Be aggressive out of possession against Arsenal. Arsenal have been eliminated from 2 of their last 3 FA Cup ties, having been eliminated from 1 of their previous 22 in the competition. So again, by Arsenal standards, we've been slacking, people. So we need to, improve at that and go again. Since being relegated from the Premier League in 2004, Leeds have played 9 away games in the FA Cup against top flight opponents and won just once, a 1-0 win against Manchester United in January 2010. Was that Jermaine Beckford's goal? I'm pretty sure it was. And Anderson of United might have been on the pitch. This is the 3rd time Leeds boss Bielsa has faced a Premier League side in his managerial career. He won both legs of the last 16, 2011-2012 Europa League tie against Manchester United as the manager of Athletic Club. So he knows. So again, he's an intelligent man and he's someone to be wary of, man. And if Arteta names an unchanged lineup, I wouldn't be confused. I wouldn't mind. But I do think he did kind of speak about resting Lacazette. I do think it's an opportunity to give Bellerin fitness. A couple young players need to get some experience, but at the same time, I want to take this cup competition very seriously. I want to get to Wembley in the FA Cup, really. It'd be lovely for the fans, it'd be lovely for Arteta, it'd be lovely for the club. I love the FA Cup, people. I wish I could reach over. I could go into my drawer right now and show you the tickets from the FA Cup winning things. Not going to lie, if we do get to the final, don't do that going 2-1 or 2 down, however much it was against Hull, because that was one of the most rotten feelings, because I was sat in the whole section, people. You get a ticket how you can, people. Obviously, a couple dodgy people. Took my cousin with me, sitting there, like, just hearing the same old Arsenal. We're cheating at 2-0 down. I was vexed. Like, I was looking at my phone. All the random that support other teams were like, I told you this was going to happen. You spent all this money and you're not there. But then Santi Cazorla and the rest of the random saved the world, saved the day. And I want to get to the final again, people. And obviously, look at the Chelsea game. Mertesacker not given a chance completely. Him and Holding locked down Diego Costa. FA Cup, anything can happen if you believe in yourself. And that goes for both teams. So hopefully on Monday, something positive from an Arsenal perspective. But we'll have to see. On that note, I've got nothing more to add. So I'm going to keep it moving. People, as always, God bless. DG.